Most people bulk to gain weight on the scale, but if you're getting bigger and the weight on the bar is not going up, you're completely missing the point. The question isn't how big have you gotten, but at the end of a bulk, the question is how much weight can you now move? You may have gained all this weight and added size to your frame, but is it actually doing anything in the gym for you? And that's what I want to talk about today, is reshaping the way you look at bulks and how you determine whether or not you are being successful in accumulating mass. My name is Nathan Dowler. I'm a personal trainer. I've been lifting weights on my own for the past almost 20 years. And I want to really talk about a lot of the ideas I have and that I share with younger, usually less inexperienced lifters about things related to gaining weight and what you really want to be working towards when you're gaining weight and what the point of a bulk really is. So just to define what I'm talking about when I say bulk, a bulk is when someone decides they want to gain a lot of weight, 20, 30 pounds. And the point is when they hit that number on this scale, they're going to cut back to a smaller weight and hopefully they have more muscle to show once that fat layer is shed. But that in and of itself is an issue because, like what I want to say here, is that when you begin a bulk phase, you should have a general body weight gain in mind and understand that you are and should be gaining body weight. But to determine if and when you decide to cut back and end your bulk, you need to have a PR in mind. And when I say PR, I mean hitting a 1 or 5 rep max on a certain lift that you have not previously hit. Because if you think about it, if you decide you want to gain 20 pounds, you can do that in a relatively short amount of period of time if you want to go crazy and just eat all the ice cream and all the carbs and all the filth in the world. But just because you gain 20 pounds doesn't mean you have anything to show for it beneath that layer of fat. And so in my mind, if you're going to gain 20 pounds, your squat should go up 50 pounds. Your bench press should go up 30 pounds. Like there should be a proportionate gain in your strength in relation to the amount of body weight that you gain. And this should be fun too. And I can say from my personal experience, some of the bulks that I went on when I was chasing PRs were some of the most fun times in my lifting career, when I really enjoyed seeing weight go up on the bar and seeing myself be able to perform and execute better each and every day on the lifts that I was chasing after. And I can say the one that sticks out most to me is when I decided I wanted to hit a 500-pound back squat for 1 rep. And at the time, I was weighing probably around 165, 170, and I had a high 300, low 400-pound back squat. And I did not care what it took or how long it was going to take. I just decided I was going to put on weight. And so for me to hit that lift, I did whatever it took. I didn't really care how much I was going to weigh or what was going to happen to my body, but I just wanted to perform in the gym. And so over the course of, I think it was 6 or 8 months, like a relatively quick time, and of course with a adequate training protocol, I was able to hit that 1 rep max 500-pound back squat. And at the time I was a little under 200 pounds, probably closer to 195 when I first hit that lift. So give or take 30 pounds that I gained during that time. But that weight gain is what it took to get that amount of strength and to execute that lift and to achieve my goals. And when I did decide I wanted to get skinny again, I was able to cut back the weight and I had a new amount of muscle mass, lean tissue, and something that actually looked good because I was being productive with the bulk that I was going on. And so aside from chasing PRs when you go on bulks, I would also advise to choose one specific lift that you want to focus on, and that way you can direct all your strength and effort towards that specific goal. And like I said, for me, when I wanted a 500-pound squat, that was it. I prioritized squats in my training, lower body training. But there was another time when I wanted to get my bench press going. So with that, there was a goal for me where I wanted to bench 365 pounds for 1. And so I prioritized bench press, a heavy focus on the necessary movements and protocol for that to happen. And same thing, I was able to achieve that over a period of time. And with that one, I started at the same point around a 165, 170 body weight. And by the time I hit that 365 bench press, I was a little under 185, which is another subject too, to where I wanted to have a double body weight bench press. So I was gaining strength, but also being conscious of my body weight at the same time. But either way, the body weight gained was justified by my performance in the gym. And hitting PRs is fun and it's a badge of honor. And I would say for anyone listening to this and watching this video, if you've never hit a 225-pound bench press for 1 rep, you should go for it and make that your most immediate goal. And train like a power lifter too, because if your goal is to hit a 1 rep max and you're training in the 10 to 20 rep range, you're completely off target and you might as well be in a different sport altogether. But also know to hit 1 rep maxes, you have to train in those appropriate rep ranges. So I'd say train like a power lifter when you're bulking, and then when you're cutting back, you go back to hypertrophy based training. Because if you stay training in the 8 to 12 or 10 to 20 rep range while you're bulking, sure, you'll see some results, but you won't have real evidence of what your strength is going to be at, and you won't be hitting those PRs, which we're talking about. Because really the rep ranges are a completely different ballgame if you compare for example, like a 10 rep max to a 1 rep max. That's different energy systems, that's different training, that's different outcomes altogether. But what happens is once your strength goes up from a bulk and you decide you want to cut back down, no matter how much weight that is that you're going to cut back, and assuming you are doing it correctly and over a reasonable amount of time, not just starving yourself into oblivion, and that you're still lifting weights. Say you came back to the same body weight you were previously at. Let's say for me, say I hit that 500-pound back squat and then I essentially dropped back to the previous body weight that I was at, but I had a new level of strength. So I'm on the same frame, but there is more muscle on me at that smaller body weight frame. So if there's more muscle, there's more to show. And with that muscle that there's more to show for, it's going to perform better, and you're going to have an uptick in your performance even though you're still at a smaller frame than you once were. We'll say, I don't know what the numbers would be, but there's definitely a relation to how much strength you lose with how much body weight you drop. Even though it's all going to be mostly fat that you're losing, you're still not going to be able to uphold that high end of PR, but you're still going to be far stronger than you were before you started off that bulk, even if you drop back to the same body weight. And if there's more strength, there's more contractile tissue, and contractile tissue is attractive and it's what we're after. But the truth is, it's not always a pretty thing when you're gaining weight. And I can understand, especially if you're decently happy with how you're looking right now and you're contemplating if you want to go in a bulk. I would say do it, especially if you're a younger lifter and you're in your 20s, when it's easier to rebound off of weight gain and you can come back to that smaller frame a bit quicker. I would say go for it, but also be acquainted with the reality that things are going to change over the course of this weight gain for you. So practically the time of the year that which you want to gain weight and go for PRs should be in consideration. And classically, people cut before summer and bulk afterwards so you can get all greasy, nasty, and out of sorts in the wintertime, when in most parts of America at least, you're going to be wearing clothes and no one's really going to be seeing all of the egregious mass that you're got going on underneath your hoodies and your sweatpants. And then hopefully as things start to warm up, you are already well on your way to having your abs visible again and veins shooting out of your biceps. And I would say too, the earlier in your lifting career and even in your biological age that you do this, the greater the results you will yield down the line, and the easier you will find it that you're able to uphold a certain amount of strength and of course a more desirable physique. And with that too, I say go big, shoot for the stars, go for all the PRs in the world, and really don't be afraid of what's going to happen to your body, because you can always lose the weight. And there's a phrase I've heard go around, and I think it's completely true and could not be more accurate to this that we're talking about. It's bulk until you hate your body and then cut until you hate your life. And that's not a prescription, but that's kind of the thought process you want to be in, is that take it as far as you can on both ends. Get as big and as grotesque to the point where you more resemble an ogre than a human, and then I want you to cut back and get your skinny Brad Pitt abs coming back in. But I find it to be true personally, and in many others, that it's actually harder to put on the weight to feed yourself and to force feed yourself than it is to starve and just to suffer for a period of time. So let's assume you're training right how I'm talking about. You're wanting to chase PRs, so you're training like a power lifter. You're going 3 to 7 sets in the 1 to 5 rep range, and you're training 3 to 4 times a week. But even if all that is executed to the T in absolute perfection, you still have to have nutrition dialed in. And when I say having nutrition dialed in, I'm not going to tell you to do a clean or a dirty bulk, but you have to have the proper nutrients coming into you. And one of the secret weapons for that is mass gainer protein shakes, because you need to have efficient and proper fuel in you as quick and as convenient as possible. And that's what these protein shakes do. And I can tell you, I lived off of oftentimes 2 of those a day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening post lift, these mass gainer protein shakes. And they would just fill you up. And the scooper is a freaking dump truck shovel. And I remember I'd drink these, I would fill them, I would use milk to mix it, and I would put heavy cream on top just to get the extra calories. I'd pound this thing down. I have to sit exactly where I drank that, and I could not move for the next 20 to 30 minutes. I could not be touched. I could not speak, because if anything other than my body digesting that sludge happened, I was going to vomit everywhere. And that's my anecdotal yet non-prescriptive advice, is that the best bulks are the ones that feel the worst. And if you still find yourself to be a bit apprehensive and not totally sure that you're okay with what's going to happen to you aesthetically, even as you chase PRs and see it successfully occurring, I just want to remind you how easy it is to lose weight. And this epiphany really changed the way I approach weight loss and weight gain. And I would say it totally liberated me to get the most out of those PR chasing moments when I wanted to gain my body weight, but then also have the bar and the weight stack up as well. And I don't know if you ever saw the TV show Alone, where they send out a bunch of people into the wilderness and they're all on their own, they're all alone, like the name of the show. And their job is just to survive for as long as possible. And whoever survives the longest with no resources, with nothing but a few items that they came into the camp with, that person wins the money. They're the winner of the show, whatever. But what's crazy is you see these people, Westerners, usually Americans, they come in and most of them are, properly fluffy, not always fat, but they have size on them like a lot of people do. And over the course of even a week, when they're moving around a lot, building their camp, doing what they do, but more importantly, they're eating far less than they would otherwise. And these people drop 10, 15, or 20 pounds in the first 7 to 10 days. And so it really shows you the power of starvation, and that's obviously an extreme example, but it shows you that it is always on the table for weight loss to happen at any cost, as extreme or as slow and drawn out as you want it to be. When I saw that, it always reminded me of, no matter how much weight I've gained and no matter how nasty and again how much I hate my body, I can still suffer a bit and get back down to something a bit smaller, more desirable. And back to that phrase, a bulk till you hate your body, cut till you hate your life. What's so true about that too is the more that you hate yourself, you hate your body when you're at the end of a bulk, the easier it's going to be to endure long, hungry nights, bits of rice and chicken and vegetables throughout the day, because you so don't want to go back to what you've done. You exhausted the bulking phase. You've stuffed yourself silly till you're painful, till you wanted to vomit. And now you want to go back to this sort of normal, more manageable, less food-obsessed lifestyle. And because you felt that other side so aggressively, you are okay with the little bit of pain and discomfort that comes with getting back to having that summer body. So just know that it's not permanent. Any weight you gain can be lost. Probably be lost quicker than the time it took you to gain it, depending on how aggressively you go with that weight loss. But if you do this right, it will really be worth it, and you'll be so happy you did what you did. And again, you should enjoy the bulking time in the gym, because you're hitting PRs, you're moving weight, and you're absolutely demolishing the barbell every time you step in, and it's going to increase day after day with a correct training program. And the last thing I'll say too is that you can never reveal what you didn't build. So consider bulking and PRs as the building phase for what you're going to reveal when you decide to cut and show for what you've been doing. Anyway, those are my thoughts in bulking and PR chasing. If you have any experience in this, or you disagree, or you agree, let me know in the comments. I want to hear about it. But my position is this: a bulk shouldn't make you heavier. It should put more weight on the barbell.